Hi, I'm Alan Finney, and this is what ayahuasca told me to tell you. You know, every once in a while I look around at some of the forums, like just to see what's going on, and I found a topic in some place there, and the heading was this: do you need your shaman, or does your shaman need you? Which I thought was a pretty interesting question, and that's our topic for today: shamans and all things shamanic. And when I say shaman, people call them all kinds of things: conductors, facilitators, ayahuasqueros, curanderos, shamans, anayas, marayas, lineage shamans, the list goes on and on. But my definition for this video is a guy you're going to sit in front of, and he or she is going to pour you a cup of ayahuasca. So let's get back to that forum for a minute. And I think what the guy was really saying was, you really don't need a shaman, and you just take whatever psychedelics by yourself. And that's certainly one option. Just sit at home, take a cup of ayahuasca, and away you go. Which personally, I don't recommend anybody do something like that myself. But people do it. In fact, one guy I know that did that as an apprentice shaman in Peru right now. So never say never. How you come to the medicine is how you come to the medicine. So what is the job of a shaman? And for me, the basic job of a shaman is to pour you some good quality ayahuasca, keep you safe in your ceremony, and they can deal with whatever problems might come up. And if your shaman is actually a healer and has your best interests at heart, then in my opinion, you've just hit the jackpot. And you know, you can sit with a shaman who's done thousands of ayahuasca ceremonies, and I've seen shamans do amazing things. But for me, the real question is, are they helping you out? Are they there for you, and are you getting the help you need? Because, you know, that's what you're in an ayahuasca ceremony for. At least that's why I take ayahuasca. So if that person is helping you out, then great, that's beautiful. You've just found the right shaman. But the thing is, shamans are just people. They come from all walks of life. Maybe they're a family man, or maybe they're going through a divorce, or they've just lost their job, or whatever. You never know, and hopefully they don't bring that into your ceremony. So if you can get to know your shaman before the ceremony and have a talk with them at the very least, and just find out what's going on in their lives. And, you know, I think that's a good idea if you can do it. And all that may influence your decision, but really, once the ayahuasca is down the hatch, then it's really between you and the medicine. And sometimes you just need to get into a ceremony and get the job done. And, you know, you find out for yourself. And if your shaman isn't some great healer, well, you know, that might be par for the course. And I've seen all kinds of advice out there about shamans, and some of it goes like this: you should only sit with an indigenous full lineage shaman that has gone through a tribal apprenticeship and has been trained and certified, or however they do that. And, you know, that's great advice if you can actually find somebody like that. And I think the only place you're going to find somebody like that is in South America. So if you can afford it, and that's what you think you need, then by all means, book a flight and off you go. But what if you don't have the time and the money or the resources to do something like that? Well, for me, at the very least, sit with a group of experienced people who are there to support you, and the ceremony leader knows what they're doing. And when I say they know what they're doing, for me, that would include a pre-ceremony checklist, and you can contact somebody afterwards if you're having problems with integration. And when I say pre-ceremony checklist, the person in charge of the ceremony needs to know if you're taking medication or if you have serious mental health issues. And you should have a good talk with that person before you go into their ceremony. This is a two-way street. And if you're uncomfortable with that person, just don't go. If you're supposed to find the medicine, you'll find it. There will be other opportunities. And what happens after the ceremony can be just as important as the ceremony itself, because you may need some help with integration. So, you know, that's another important consideration. And I can hear people right now. How would you ever stay safe in a setting like that? What about evil entities or something, or if I get possessed? And I made a whole other video about that. If you're worried about getting possessed or evil entities in a ceremony or whatever, you're going to be stuck out there in another dimension or something. It's not going to happen. But if you think it is, then find a shaman who can keep you from being possessed. Maybe there's specialists out there that do that. Put that on your checklist. No possessions. And for me, once you find a ceremony and you take a cup of ayahuasca, it's between you and ayahuasca. That's where the healing takes place. That's it. And if your ceremony leader can add to that process or help you out with that, then fantastic. You're in the right place. But sometimes you have to kiss some frogs before you find your prince, as the saying goes. Because as far as I know, there is no perfect shaman out there, unless you think there are perfect human beings just walking around on the street. I've never met one, and I have sat with lineage shamans in Peru and Canadian shamans and Peruvian shamans doing ceremonies in Canada, and nobody's perfect. Mind you, I can actually think of one shaman in particular. No way, you know who I'm talking about. And, they might come close, but really we're all just human beings with our own stuff, shamans included. And the other thing I really caution people about is don't put your shaman or group leader or whoever on a pedestal. They may be introducing you to ayahuasca, but they're not responsible for you finding your own inner healer. That's what the ayahuasca is for. That's why you do the work. The shaman doesn't do that. They're not there to fix you or cure you of anything, so don't get that confused. You're the one making the changes in your life. Think about all the well-intentioned people in your life that think they know what's best for you. It's no different, than with shamans. So really, for me, you're in a ceremony to find your own inner healer, your own inner shaman. But if you give that over to someone else, or if someone is trying to convince you that they're the ones responsible for your healing, then I'd have some serious problems with a ceremony like that myself. The thing is, if you have enough courage to take a cup of ayahuasca and take a leap into the abyss of yourself, you don't need someone to tell you what that means. You're going to live it. That experience belongs to you, regardless of what anyone else tries to tell you. We get taught from a very young age that somebody else always knows better than we do. Parents, relatives, right from grade 1, we have teachers who are authority figures. They're grading us and judging us. We might be 80% good at something or 95% good at something, or, we just failed miserably. And for me, ayahuasca is trying to get us to understand that you don't need somebody to tell you what just happened or why it happened or what lesson you need to take away from it. And if you put your shaman or, your group leader, in that position as your own personal interpreter of your own experience, to me, that can be just detrimental to the whole process. Listen to their advice, accept their help if they really are helping you, but you're the only one that can decide that. So for me, the best advice I have is to be just a little bit discriminating in that regard, or a lot, depending on who you're sitting with. I've seen some shamans out there with some great big old egos. But maybe that's the guy you're supposed to sit with so that you can learn something. For me, why I take ayahuasca is you're there to learn about you, how you've been constructed as a human being, why you're living your life, how you're living it. Then ayahuasca asks you, do you want to change that? And how you answer that question determines how ready you are to heal. And that's got nothing to do with your shaman, and it's got everything to do with you. So all the best to you, and I truly hope that you find the right people and the right shaman to sit with, and you get all the healing and the knowledge and the wisdom and the joy of life that you so richly deserve. Till next time, I'm Alan Finney, And this is what ayahuasca told me to tell you.